Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Be Kind Rewind. I'm your host, Willie Pierce, and today I get to review for you the Phase 4 Marvel movie, The Eternals! All right, let's get started. There's a lot to unpack. So first things first, I've been asked this question since November 5th, last Friday, if you should go see this movie. My answer is Y-E-S, yes. And why do I say that? Well, because if you've been following Marvel for the last 13 years, you know something about Marvel. They make these awesome standalone movies, but there's also a bigger picture because they're looking to work up to a Avengers level event. So we have Avengers 4, some may call it 5, coming up very soon. Now, The Eternals is a unique movie because it's one of their first movies that deals with cosmic threats on a much larger scale. We got kind of a taste with this with the Guardians of the Galaxy movie where we were introduced to Celestials, and Guardians of the Galaxy 2 where we were introduced to Celestials like Ego the Living Planet, which we found out was Star-Lord, aka Peter Quill's father. Now, this movie, The Eternals, introduces to us 10 new characters that are on planet Earth, and they're here to save humanity from big bads. Now, they are brought here by a host. We're going to talk more about that host here in a little bit. This movie has about a 2-hour and 37-minute runtime. What does that mean? Well, that means it's one of Marvel's biggest projects since the Infinity War and Endgame. It also means you should go to the restroom before you sit down to watch this movie, and you get your popcorn and refreshments ready. Now, this movie is directed by Chloe Zhao. I didn't know much about this director until I watched the movie, and I read up a little bit on her after the movie, and I discovered why Marvel went with her. This movie is visually stunning like a lot of her previous work. It has very well-timed action sequences, and they trickle a little humor in there to set the stage for what we are later introduced to in this movie. Now, The Eternals is a Phase 4 movie. This is the third of the Phase 4 movies to date. The first two, Black Widow and Shang-Chi, deal with much smaller problems. This one addresses much larger scale issues because we are introduced to Celestials. And the Celestial that we are introduced to is Arishem the Judge. I'm going to jump into this really quick because this is the apex predator of Marvel. This is the biggest bad. This is the greatest threat right now that we have to our universe. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds. Need to jump to a quick commercial break. After that, I'll delve into the characters and the meat and potatoes of this review. I'll see you guys in 30 seconds.
Whether you learn best in an online environment or you prefer a face-to-face experience, Nash Community College offers both to meet your educational goals. If you're looking to enhance your skills or need a new calling, NCC provides short-term training opportunities that lead to new careers. You can schedule a campus tour or request information directly at nashcc.edu/info. Enroll today and get your future started.
Hey, welcome back, guys. All right, so we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this review, and I'm going to start by introducing to you the characters, the Eternals. Now, we are first introduced to Ajax. She's the prime Eternal. She is the leader of the Eternals. She's played by Salma Hayek. All the Eternals have a really cool ability. Hers is that she can heal. The next character that we're introduced to is Druig. Now, he is a really cool character. I loved him in the comic books. He has the ability to affect human nature, mind control, humans, everything of that nature. It's pretty cool. So think Professor X, X-Men. Next character is going to be Gilgamesh. I love this character. He provides some of the comic relief. He's Asian, I'm half Asian. He's super strong. I'm obviously super strong, so that's why we have that connection. Next character is going to be Icarus. Now, you probably recognize this guy, Richard Madden. He's from Game of Thrones. He was Robb Stark in that movie, and it's nice to see him in this one. He plays a pretty important role. We're going to talk more about him later, but he's basically Superman. He can fly, he's super strong, and he can shoot laser beams out of his eyes. So the next one up is going to be Kingo. He is the ultimate comic relief in this movie. He can summon cosmic energy in his hands, and he can pretty much shoot them like little guns. Pew, 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 pew. And he can summon fireballs. So cue Street Fighter and the Hadoukens. If you don't get that reference, that must mean I'm really old. Next character up is going to be Makari. She is really cool. I kind of wanted to see them spend more time with her. She's a speedster. I love speedsters. Flash is one of my favorite. Even though this is Marvel, DC is Flash. I wanted to see more. She's really cool. Next character is going to be Phastos. He is basically the Iron Man of the group. He invents things. It's cool to watch the movie and to see his effect play out throughout human history. There's some really cool Easter eggs there. Next character up is going to be Cersei. Now, Cersei is actually the Eternal that they spend the most time on in this movie. I loved her character. She's got a big heart, and she has the ability to turn any matter into any state. So she can turn water into wine. If you read this certain book, there's a dude out there who does the same thing. He became very popular, still very popular to today. Next character is going to be Sprite. Now, Sprite is really cool. She looks like a child. She is actually not a child in the comics, but they portrayed her that way in this movie. She has the ability to create illusions, so it's really cool to see that play out in the movie. Next character is going to be Thena. Now, Angelina Jolie, I thought she was going to have a bigger role in this movie because she's such a big name, but Thena is a character that is just fierce in hand-to-hand combat. She can literally take on any of the Eternals, no problem. She can summon cosmic weapons, and she can really kick a lot of butt with them. So I love that character. Again, I wish I would have seen them do a little bit more with her, but she does have a pretty cool part later in this movie. So now that we established the characters, what are they actually doing on Earth? Now, spoilers, this is where the spoilers come in, so careful. If you've watched to this point, I warn you, you will have some spoilers coming up. Now, so they think they're there on Earth per the instruction of Erisham the Judge to protect humanity from these big bads called deviants. Now, these deviants are killing humans, so that's bad. No kill humans. So these guys come in and they stop. As you can see, Kingo there is hitting them with a Hadouken from the Street Fighter fame that I mentioned earlier. Now, what they end up finding out, because Ajax has a conversation with Icarus halfway through the movie, where she tells Icarus, look, guys, we are actually not here to protect humans from deviants per se. We're actually here protecting them because there's this celestial inside the earth that is incubating, and we have to make sure that there's enough humans here to create this emergence of the celestial. Now, how many humans does it take? I don't know. I'm not very good at math, but I think it takes about 7 to 8 billion humans, and that's why the Celestials have been here for like 7,000 years. Now, everyone finds this out. Icarus, when he finds it out because Ajax tells him, he then surmises her death, and that's a really bad thing because she led the Eternals. Now, who takes over? That's Cersei. Cersei is the one with the big heart. Ajax wants Cersei to take over because Cersei has now started to love humanity as much as her and doesn't want to see this emergence happen. So we forward to the third act. What happens? Icarus is obviously upset that he has to now stop his girlfriend, Cersei, from stopping the emergence. So he now is fighting with the Eternals, and they're trying to, you have one party that's trying to continue with the emergence, and you have another party that's trying to stop the emergence. So then the emergence starts to happen. Something really cool happens. They take this right out of the comic book, and they combine to form a Unimind. Now, they can't take down a Celestial 1v1, so they have to combine to take them down. The one person who isn't with this is Icarus and Sprite. I'm sorry, two people that actually aren't with it. And they try to stop them from stopping the emergence. But they end up stopping the emergence, and here's the cool way they stop it. Icarus, who's in love with Cersei, and they delve into that underlying theme in the movie, has a chance to stop Cersei. He doesn't because of love that they have learned by being with humanity for 7,000 years. They stop the emergence of the Celestial. Everybody's saved, planet doesn't get destroyed, but Icarus is so torn now because he doesn't get to take out the mission that he was put there to do, and the only thing they've ever known their whole life. He then flies into the sun and destroys himself. Poor Icarus, the Greek mythology story, we all know how it goes. That's his demise. The rest of the Celestials kind of split up. You have a group of Celestials that go to find a group of Eternals that split up to find other Eternals to see if they can stop the emergence on their planets. And you have another group that stays on Earth that wants to continue living with humanity and try to protect them as much as they can. So that's kind of where the movie ends. We're going to take another quick commercial break. In 30 seconds, we're going to come back. I'm going to talk about 2 of the end credit scenes that kind of expound upon what this movie will introduce in Phase 4 and Phase 5. So I'll see you guys in 30. Hey, welcome back, guys, to the third segment. So as I said just a few moments ago, we're going to talk about 2 post-credit scenes that appear at the end of the movie. The first one is introducing a new character, another Eternal, a Prime Eternal, like Ajax. His name is Eros, aka Star Fox. Now, what's cool about this is, for comic book fans, this is Thanos' little brother. Now, Thanos is an Eternal. He's an Eternal with the deviant gene. That's why he looks like a purple grimace from the old McDonald's commercials, if you remember that. If you don't, I'm really dating myself, but that's okay, all right? I like how old I am. Now, Thanos' little brother, Eros, is an Eternal, so he shows up on the ship with some of the Eternals that are looking for other Eternals to stop other emergencies on other planets. So it's really cool to see that. They don't really spend any more time. He just says, hey, I'm Eros, I'm here, I'm the greatest, I'm this, I'm that. And he is going to join them, obviously, or I believe, to stop Celestials going forward. The second post-credit scene is a really cool one. It introduces the Black Knight, which is played by Kit Harington. Now, Kit Harington, we know him from Game of Thrones. He plays a character in the movie called Dane Whitman. I didn't really cover him to this point because his role in this movie is very small. And other than being Cersei's love interest, which gives credence to the fact that they're falling in love with humanity, they love everything about humans, and that's why they want to stop the emergence and be the heroes. He is talking to a sword in the post-credit scene, and that sword is a Necro sword, and his character is the Black Knight. And the Black Knight in the comic is a very obscure character, but I like to see them try to bring it to the screen. I think they may do a Disney Plus series. But what's really cool about that post-credit scene is we hear Mahershala Ali off screen voice or say something, and that's Blade. So Blade, we haven't seen Blade since the late 90s and when he was portrayed by Wesley Snipes. Those movies were awesome, so we all got geeked up hearing his voice off screen. I believe they're going to work together somehow, so I'm really excited to see that come to fruition in 2023, maybe sooner. So guys, look, that's the end of my review here for the Eternals. I'm just going to wrap it up. I think it's a great movie because it introduces a very obscure comic. It does a good job of relating it to, everything else that we've experienced in Marvel to this point. So it's going to pop off for Phase 4 and Phase 5. This movie is really good. It paces a little slow, so just kind of go in with an open mind about this movie, but you'll truly enjoy it and what it sets up later. Please join us next week where we'll have an episode to do something interesting with returning host Rodney Jenkins. Week after, we'll have our final episode of Be Kind Rewind. That will have Xavier Johnson coming back hosting that show. Again, guys, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the review. Love you and peace out.